What do we love about Sonic games? The characters, the graphics, the music, the thrill of running through levels at the speed of sound. What if I told you there's a Sonic game that had it all, and then they dumped it in the trash? Jokes aside, Sonic Colors came out in 2010 to very positive reviews, and for good reason. It's a ton of fun, and the music speaks for itself. Then the game was remastered in 2021, and while they didn't necessarily make it worse, they didn't make it better, which is kind of the point of a remaster. That's water under the bridge though. Today we're building Sonic Colors, the 6th video in the series of building every Sonic the Hedgehog game in LEGO. And there's a lot of them. According to this random guy on Reddit, there's 85, so we'll be here a while. Be sure to follow the Chao LUG to see all of mine and my plastic brethren's past, present, and future Sonic builds. Anyway, let's get started. The first thing I did was grab a bunch of plates to start working on the base. I'm pleased to report that the method I tried in the last Sonic video worked perfectly. And so I'll be using that from now on. I'll be having a plate base, a single brick layer, and then I'll tile it off before working on, the actual Sonic build. It's always fun filling in the foundation with random colors because it's really the easiest part of the build. And it lets me pretend that each build will be easier than the last, even though the opposite is true. Next, I started designing the industrial pattern that'll be featured throughout the build. I'm pulling from Act 2 of Starlight Carnival, which looks like this. Very colorful, very bright, very LSD coded, perfect for building in LEGO. You can see these X-shaped blocks, and here's what my version looks like. I felt like I was on a roll, so let's keep building. You may notice that in this time lapse I'm building the rainbow pattern out of basic 2x2 tiles, and about halfway through this I had a thought. What is Brickspiration if not an outlet to make my life miserable, also known as challenging myself? So I concluded to tear it all down, starting from basically scratch, and we're going to be putting lights on the scenery itself.
Wow, can you do that?
Hey, it's a bit of a fire hazard.
Like 20 people got that reference. And I kid, I love challenging myself. It's how builders like me get better. And it'll be cool when the series concludes and you'll be able to track my growth as a builder from the first Sonic build all the way to the last Sonic build. My plan to light up the floor is simple. I've built a wall of transparent bricks, laid it on its side, and then covered it with translucent bricks of varying colors to create a rainbow effect. The wall of bricks will sit about 3 blocks high, so I can stuff the lights I bought underneath and then build around it. Here's what the first test of lights looks like, and I think it looks really sick. We're well on our way to making a cool MOC. And those aren't the only lights we'll be adding, but you'll have to wait until later in the video to see it. Next, I built some egg pawns for Sonic to rumble with. Instructions are available over on my membership tab. We'll give them little hats and little trumpets. Adorable. Why would anyone want to smash these to pieces? Gee golly, I hope no one does. I started building up the walls and planned for how the lights will exit the build to make turning them on and off easier. The color palette screams industrial, which makes sense since this is Eggman's doing, but like, wow, building with grays and blacks is a totally different beast than Sonic 06, for example, which had a lot more greens and such. I started building up the walls to support the last part of the build. At this point, it was late at night and I was struggling to figure out how I wanted to do the second set of lights. So I ended up going to bed for the sake of not wasting my own time. While Aaron sleeps, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Veux toys. I told you I'd be showing more of their stuff to you guys. When they heard about my quest to build every Sonic video game, they were excited to send me some of their Sonic the Hedgehog custom minifigures. So custom minifigures are an interesting conversation. There's a lot of variety, a lot of companies, a lot of price points, emphasis on price points. And geez, they can get expensive. But there is something to be said about cheap, easy to get figures for characters we wouldn't normally get. I think these customs are pretty dope. They feel kinda cheap, but they are cheap, so it makes sense. They'll come in handy throughout the series since I highly doubt LEGO will ever make a Jet minifigure, for example. Overall, I really like these figures. It feels nice to not have to drop $100 on custom figures, and I think for kids who just want to play and have fun, it's the perfect product for them. My favorite two are Metal Sonic and Super Sonic. They both look really sick. Be sure to use code Brickspiration15 when you check out to get a discount on your order. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring today's video and making my wallet a little less sad.
And now for something completely different.
The next morning, I began working on these round speaker looking things that will populate the background of the build. I also decided to shrink the base of the MOC. My initial plan was to make the backdrop wider, but after a night's sleep I realized it wasn't necessary and just a waste of bricks. But I was having trouble figuring out how to go about lighting up the backdrop. I decided to clear my schedule and give myself a full day to finish the build. No other responsibilities, just getting this done.
Day 2.
I shared the aftermath over on my Instagram. It looks like a battle has been fought in my room. It is a complete mess, but after cleaning my room, I finished it. So let's take a final look. Today's build is awesome. I have no other adjectives to describe it properly, but we gotta hit the 8-minute mark so YouTube will be nice to me, so let's continue to describe the build. The first thing I want to look at is the industrial build spread throughout the MOC. I've built several pipes that hug the corner of the build, and then 2 laser gates using a variety of tones of yellow and then some lime green. I also used a ton of masonry bricks. Of course, my favorite piece has to be in every MOC that I build, and I used them by creating a wall segment and then laying it on its side just to add some extra texture to the build. I adore how the rainbow platform turned out. Despite being extremely fragile, it gives off such a unique vibe. All of the bricks on here don't actually have a connection point. You can see they're just sliding around. I've also placed 2 egg pawns blissfully hanging out on the spectacle, totally unaware of the horror that's about to befall them. I took this picture of Sonic gearing up to smack into one of them, and it turned out hilarious because you can see a bit of red in Sonic's eyes. Maybe Sonic was the villain all along and Eggman is just misunderstood. Above it we have a platform for Sonic to collect some rings, and then over here we have a capsule holding a blue wisp for Sonic to use. I built a micro blue wisp. I had to shrink him down to fit him in the capsule. I'm also using more of those grilled 1x2 bricks that I utilized in the Egg Dragoon build. I really like these, they add a lot of texture and it's a nice change of pace. Okay, I won't lead you on any longer, let's look at the second set of lights. I created 2 speaker-like things, created a bridge to connect them, and then fished LED lights around the entire thing. This part took several attempts and almost a full day, but after placing 1x2 translucent blue bricks, the result is astonishing. Let's pause and soak that in. Sometimes I build stuff that makes me go, yo, that's sick, and I don't really mean in an egotistical way. I just really like what I do and I'm glad I can do it. You might notice the smaller of the 2 speakers is built out of a wheel with a dish to polish it up, and I think this was a great way to get the round effect because, you know, it's hard to build circles in Lego most of the time. Let's ignore the back of this build this time. Storing lights doesn't look very pretty. It is funny though, when the lights turn on you can see it shining through the cracks of the bricks. I'll have to trap any naughty minifigures in there as a cruel but unique form of torture. I've said it already, but I love how this MOC turned out. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, definitely consider subscribing to follow me on the journey I've put myself on. Check out the Chao LUG to see everyone else's builds. Check out the sponsor and use my discount code so you can save some money. All that good stuff, all that jazz. Thank you for watching today's video. Thank you to our channel members, and keep on inspiring.